gentlemen, welcome to the Downtown DC Business Improvement District's 2023 Annual Meeting and Networking Event. This is an unparalleled opportunity. Please welcome to the stage founder and CEO of Planet Word, Ann Friedman.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody to Planet Word. We are so delighted to be part of the downtown and to contribute to creating community and togetherness in a fun, beautiful way. We are so thankful to the city for renovating Franklin Park across from us and making this whole neighborhood come alive. We just want to do all we can to sort of fulfill the promise of the downtown bid, of DC, and of Planet Word. And so I hope if you haven't had a chance to visit and go through our galleries, that you'll come back, bring your families, bring your friends, have events here. We will do it all for you in style, as you can see. And thank you, and have a great meeting.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Corporate Vice President and Director of Asset Management and Acquisitions for Quadrangle Development and Chairman of the Downtown DC BID Board of Directors, Michael McCarthy.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today at Planet Word. Thank you to Ann for your gracious hospitality in allowing us to be here and experience your passion together. It's much appreciated, and Planet Word has really become a cornerstone in our efforts to bring people back downtown. So thank you for all of you, and so many of you, for being here. It's greatly appreciated, and we welcome you to the Downtown BID's annual meeting. I'm Michael McCarthy, as noted, and as much as I love my day job at Quadrangle Development, I'm equally energized to serve as chairman of the board for the Downtown BID, and honored to serve in that capacity. This is an exciting time, a time both for subtle shifts as well as daring developments, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. However, as much as I'd like to wax eloquence on why this part of the district is great and how it can be even greater, I'm here in an official capacity to report on a few board matters. The BID's Board of Directors met earlier today, and I'm pleased to report that we have approved the FY 2024 budget unanimously, and also approved, thank you, as well, we approved the board's executive committee slate unanimously again. As a result, the BID is well positioned for the year to come, and I'm eager to see where this leads. Before I depart, a reminder to the BID members who are eligible to vote. The polls will close at 6 o'clock tonight, and that is for, while we voted on the executive committee, for the general board members who are new and renewing, you're invited to vote to support that slate of officers until 6 o'clock this evening. And now it's my great pleasure and honor to cede the lectern to a stalwart champion of downtown DC and a dear friend to the Downtown Business Improvement District and to the businesses therein. She also happens to have a seat on the DC City Council, where she's doing important work, and not just for downtown, but for all of District of Columbia. And with that, I'd like to welcome to the podium Brooke Pinto.
Please welcome to the stage Ward 2 Councilmember Brooke Pinto.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, and it's been such a treat to get to work with you and the entire downtown bid, so much so that other bids around the city really look to the downtown bid for guidance, for new ideas of how we can be real leaders in innovation. And so thank you so much for continuing to think so outside the box and being such a great partner. I'm Brooke Pinto. I am Ward 2. I am Brooke Pinto. It's just so synonymous with my name now. And I have the privilege of representing Ward 2 on the DC Council. And it's very exciting to me when people say, what is Ward 2 again? Where's the boundary? And I get to start with, well, it includes downtown DC, and people's eyes really light up. And I think part of that is because so many more people are really seeing the opportunity of what downtown is and what it can become. Seeing how many voices have been part of the conversation that the downtown bid has been leading and that Gerren Price has been leading for years now, and seeing many more voices and participants kind of finally get on board to what you, Gerren, and many of you in this room have been spearheading for years and saying, downtown is in need of revitalization, it's in need of change, it's in need of investment now. There are so many people across the city, across the region, and in the country who are now looking to downtown DC and saying, that's right, this is where possibility is, this is where we can think outside the box, whether that's childcare or water parks or skate parks or residential or green space. All of these things are really going to be exciting attractions and part of not only the success of downtown, but the success of our entire city. And it's been a privilege to get to be a part of that brainstorm session as we continue leading downtown and the city into what the next 10 years is going to look like, which really excites me. I want to speak about two things today, and the first is around the Recovery Act. This is a bill that I introduced 2 years ago, and when I talk about getting more people on board, it took a while for more people to see the light, so to speak. That investment in downtown is important for all of us. And finally, I can report that the three major tenets of the Recovery Act are now passed and funded. And those three pieces are, first is around conversions of vacant spaces. This is for things like housing, which is going to be really important to achieving our goal and the mayor's goal of bringing more residents downtown, but also conversions for other space. What we care about here, and what I care about, is making more productive use of the space. But that doesn't have to be just housing. That could also be retail, that could be hotels, that could be recreation space, that could be more creative use of our rooftops to bring families to downtown. And so I'm so excited about that piece. The second component is around retail grants, both through incentivizing and providing grants for brick and mortar businesses to locate downtown, with a prioritization for women-owned, minority-owned businesses, as well as set-asides for childcare, urgent care, and grocery stores, because we want the people to come, we need the amenities. Thank you so much. It also includes incentives for employers to offer childcare in the workplace. That's one of the things that I hear so often from people who are making the choice whether or not to come back to work. And one of the things we've realized is we're not going to go back to 2019. Not every person is going to be coming back into an office environment 5 days a week, and that's okay. But for those who are interested in coming back, let's make it easy to do so. Let's provide childcare. Let's incentivize our employers to provide childcare on site or in downtown. Again, part of this bringing people back mission. And the third piece is around safety. We started a new pilot program this year called the Safe Commercial Corridors Grant. And it's really to empower our excellent community partners like the Downtown BID to use this grant money as they see best for public safety. So that can be for lighting, that can be for security patrols, that can be for other interruption efforts. These are going to be funds that are used directly by the Downtown BID and the people on the ground, so to speak, who know what they need in the community to improve public safety, to supplement our other public safety efforts. And We know to have a thriving downtown, we need a safe downtown. And that brings me to my second point, which is really about the safety of downtown and our city. As some of you know, that I am now the chair of the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee. And so we are really focused on not just building a safe downtown, but making sure that we have safety across the city, investing in our prevention efforts, started a new pilot this year as well for lights and security for our schools and recreation space that are open to the public on nights and weekends, supported bonuses and hiring for our officers, introduced a bill today to fill in some of the prosecutorial gaps our U.S. Attorney's Office is finding, invested tens of millions of dollars in our access to justice and domestic violence funds, and making sure that we're really holding not just people accountable, but our government accountable in having an accredited forensic lab and working in close collaboration with our local and federal partners. And I raise this because I think it is really important to all remember as we move forward that the intersection of a thriving economic environment is so closely related to a safe city. And we can't have one without the other. And those are going to continue to be my two focuses throughout the year. Thank you so much, and really looking forward to working with you all on that mission. But I'm just happy to be here today with you to celebrate. I'm a huge fan and supporter of the Downtown BID. Gerren, thank you so much for your leadership. This is probably not what you meant to sign up for initially, and have really taken this in such stride and in such a way, as I said, that other BIDs around the city are looking to for great ideas and for leadership. And I know you all are going to bring forward so many of these revitalization efforts to fruition and make them a reality. So congratulations. Thanks for all that you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage University of Pennsylvania graduate, member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, DC resident and downtown champion, president and CEO of the Downtown DC Business Improvement District, Gerren Price.
Wow, I was not expecting that extended introduction. As always, the team has sufficiently surprised me and now thrown me completely off guard. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. No, seriously, good evening, everybody. It is so good to see you, and it is so exciting to welcome you here to the 2023 Downtown DC BID annual meeting. My name is Gerren Price, and I am elated and honored and just so humbled to serve as your president and CEO of this amazing organization that I, too, have grown to love. I got to tell you, I'm just blown away by the fact that we are standing room only. I woke up this morning, it was a little bit of a rainy, sort of gray, dreary day, and I'm like, oh man, no one's going to come because it's raining. Then it dawned on me, we're at a museum, and there's no such thing as bad museum weather. So we are all good here in this beautiful space. And on that note, I have to say thank you to Ann Friedman, the visionary behind this beautiful space here at the Planet Word Museum. Did you all get a chance to check it out and peruse some of the exhibits? Can we give a round of applause for the Planet Word Museum? I don't know if you have a favorite room. Team, I know you know what my favorite room is. It's definitely the karaoke room. If anybody's up for a challenge after the official program is over, I am doing the Outkast Hey Ya selection, and I will take on anybody in a challenge here. I can break it down, all the linguistics and everything, I promise you. I'm so excited. But no, seriously, I want to thank you all for being here. We love this space. We love the work that they're doing here at the Planet Word Museum. What this symbolizes is what it is to take and transform a space that many of you know, those who've been in DC for a while. You remember this building sat vacant for years when it closed as the Franklin Men's Shelter. And it was really a shell that had not much in it. The Downtown DC BID offices are right across the street here at 1275 K Street. And I was talking to Ann and to Patty, who run the museum here, and they talked about how we were in a BID meeting and looking out across the window as they were thinking about and dreaming about what this museum could be. And they said, one day, wouldn't it be wonderful to have an official BID meeting in this newly renovated space? And here we are today, actualizing that dream. And I just think that's beautiful. So thank you all for being a part of this moment. Now, I also have to say thank you so much, Councilmember Brooke Pinto, Brooke Ward 2 Pinto, as she's officially been coined this evening. You have seriously been such a steadfast advocate for downtown. Your work this year with the budget has been just amazing. I mean, you really have been fighting to ensure that real change is underway, that things are being funded appropriately. There's something to really ensuring that money is put into these investments and that we're being smart, that we're being strategic. And we are so honored to have you representing Ward 2 in downtown as our ward representative. And we look forward to many more years of working with you as council member here in the beautiful Ward 2 and in downtown. Can we give Brooke Pinto a round of applause as well? I also want to thank our board chairman, Mr. Michael McCarthy, for the great introduction this morning and just for his continued support. And really, I want to thank all of our Downtown DC BID board of directors. I got to tell you, and I'm not just saying this because I work for the Downtown DC BID, but we have one of the best boards in the world. If I had to dream up a more dedicated, passionate, committed, hardworking, caring group of people, I don't think I could do it. I want to thank you all for your constant support, your hard work, your willingness to roll up your sleeves. I want to thank you for never holding back, always being honest with us and pushing us. And I'm not just talking about you, Kingdon Gould. Where's Kingdon? I'm talking about all of our board members who truly push us and hold us accountable because they believe in what downtown can be and what we will be as we continue to move forward into the future. I'm also super excited about our new board members, many of whom are with us today. And I'm looking at many of you. I can't name you all by name, but those who are on the ballot today, I want to remind you that voting is still open, I believe, for a few more minutes. So if you have not voted yet, please take a moment. Use the QR code. Kudos to technology. Thank you, team, for making that happen, where you can vote for our board members. We cannot wait to welcome the 10 new board members who are up for consideration today. Now, I want to move on and just say I'm so excited to be able to share a few words with you all today. As you know, this past year has brought a lot here in downtown. But one of the things I was most proud of is that we celebrated our 25th anniversary of the Downtown DC BID. Can we give a round of applause for 25 years of dedication and service? That is 25 years that we have fought hard to make downtown DC as economically viable as possible. And you may not know this. Those of you who are familiar with the behind the scenes and intricacies of the board and the BID, you know we have an annual meeting every year. Some may not be as familiar. I see some newer folks to the mix today. But every year we are statutorily required to have what we call our annual meeting. As Michael mentioned earlier this evening, we did have the official board of directors vote and are welcoming a brand new slate of executive committee officers who you should be able to see on the board here. I don't know if it updated. There we go. The vote was unanimous, and so congratulations to our executive committee members. We have some folks who are joining us again, repeating their officer seats and executive committee positions from last year. But I want to give a special acknowledgement and welcome to 2 new members of our executive committee. Where is Mr. J.R. Myers, senior partner of the Myers Group? Mr. Myers, you in the room? Did Mr. Myers have to step out? Well, we want to welcome Mr. Myers. He's coming on board as our second vice chair, so we're super excited about him taking an officer position this year. I also want to welcome Mr. Thor Headley. Thor, did I see you? I know I saw you earlier. There you are in the back. Good to see you, Thor. Thor is now officially joining our executive committee. Can we give a round of applause to our new members and all of our continuing executive committee members? Now, the board also voted to approve our annual budget, which includes a balanced budget, $15.7 million of projected revenue, $15.7 million in expenditures, with about $3.2 million in capital reserves. So we are very excited about that. Now, again, we host an annual meeting every year because we're required to do so. But this year, is actually the first time we're doing an entirely in-person annual meeting since actually before the pandemic. So very excited about that. And it's actually the first in-person annual meeting event we've held in over a decade. So I'm very excited about that. Super excited that you all are here tonight. Now, if you're wondering why we felt it was important to have this meeting in person, I'll tell you. First, I believe, as our friends at Brookfield Properties, we have some friends from Brookfield Properties in the mix today. We're our Brookfield folks. I see a few of you. Thank you for being here, represented on our board of directors as well. But they've coined a new term that says life is better in person. Life is better in person. Isn't that true? Do we believe that in downtown? Life is better in person, and we're celebrating that right now. And I cannot imagine a better life than for us to be able to be here, standing shoulder to shoulder, standing room only in this beautiful room right now together. Together, we've been resilient, and we've weathered the storms of danger and of doubt throughout the pandemic. And now, as we continue to face challenges, we believe we have an unparalleled opportunity to completely reimagine the downtown as we know it and to secure its future for many years to come. And I want to thank you all for being here with us today as we embark on this journey together. Now, I want to spend a few minutes sharing a few things with you. First, I ask that you help us as we share some reflections on the challenges and accomplishments of 2022. Second, we'll take a look at what's ahead. Spoiler alert, the Downtown DC BID does a lot of stuff, and so I could be up here and talk in a lot of detail, but I will try to summarize it because I could go on and on and on about all the great work that happens, but a lot of the detail is included in our 2022 annual report, which you all should have a copy of for those who are seated. You can also scan the QR code in order to access it, and it's available on our website, downtowndc.org. Lots of great information in this report, but I'll take a minute to acknowledge some of the highlights that I want you to know about with respect to the Downtown DC BID. Now, I also want to take a moment before I move on just to acknowledge some of the amazing people who helped to make the Downtown DC BID so special. I will tell you, I had the pleasure of serving here at the BID beginning in August 2018 as Director of Public Space Operations. And I know that sometimes we as BID members, and I see some of my BID colleagues from around the city, you all know we often have to do a lot more with a lot less. We often have to make the impossible happen where it seems that it will never happen. And folks put in a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort, and sometimes it can feel that it goes a bit unnoticed. I want to take a moment, just as leader of this organization, to thank every single member of the Downtown DC BID staff, our Downtown DC BID Foundation. If you all can just stand, raise your hands wherever you all around this room, can we give a round of applause to the amazing staff of the Downtown DC Business Improvement District? I want to thank you all. Seriously, we'd be nothing without the hard work that you put in and day out. I am truly humbled and honored to serve as your leader. Appreciate you. I want to talk a little bit about 2022 and some of the highlights and the challenges. As you all know, it's almost hard to think about it now, but back in 2022, we were actually concerned about a new COVID variant and weren't sure if we were going to have a revert from some of the progress we were starting to see. And then we were confronted with all kinds of new challenges that were layered on top of that. More intense and more challenging First Amendment activities, an uptick in challenges around public safety, and actually an uptick in the number of people sleeping outside and experiencing some of the challenges of homelessness. And yet, and through all of that, our Downtown DC BID ambassador team showed up and showed out 365 days out of the year, helping to keep downtown DC clean, removing over 150,000 bags of trash and recycling, and serving as friendly faces to those in need of additional support, and helping to support public safety efforts by being eyes and ears. I'd be remiss not to acknowledge some of those SAM ambassadors who are here today. Our SAM ambassadors who are in the room, I see one of them. I know many have been helping outside, so I don't know if folks are in the room right now, but I have to ask this, and I know I'm asking you to do a lot of clapping, but I don't care. I'm going to ask you to do more because I don't know a group of people in this city who work as hard as our SAM ambassadors. Can we give a round of applause to our SAM ambassador team? Thank you all so much for your work and for your support. I want to say, too, and I'd be remiss not to acknowledge this, but we faced a real challenge in 2022. For many of you who work in industries where you hire frontline staff members, you may have experienced some challenges throughout the year, and that has been certainly the case for us. At one point during the year, where we normally have about 85 ambassador team members, we were actually down to 47 due to some attrition, due to folks taking other opportunities, and we really struggled to fill that. And I want to acknowledge that challenge that we've had. But I also want to acknowledge that I'm excited to share the good news that we've had a new class of ambassadors that just started with us about 2 weeks ago, and we look forward to filling even more of those vacancies and having the best and most dynamic team of ambassadors in the world. So very excited about that. And so thank you to all of our new ambassador team. I believe they are actually outside of the room right now, so I will not ask you to do another standing ovation, but believe me, the standing ovation is continual and in my heart right now. Now, we also know that we're currently facing an increased challenge around public safety. I want to actually just acknowledge, I know MPD has had some really difficult challenges in terms of their staffing and some shortages around officers. I want to thank Councilmember Brooke Pinto for her continued work to help come up with really great solutions with respect to public safety. And I want to assure you, we're going to do all that we can here at the Downtown DC BID to stand in that gap, to approach the challenge with creativity, with innovation, and to come forth with innovative solutions that'll help to move us forward and address some of those challenges. We're very excited about the Safe Commercial Corridors opportunity that will soon come online, and you have our full commitment. This is a top priority for us. We know we can't have a reimagined downtown DC if we don't have a safe downtown DC, and we will continue to fight for that. Now, I want to move on and talk a little bit about homeless services. Now, our homeless services work this year, as I mentioned before, we saw some real challenges and a major uptick in the number of folks experiencing homelessness throughout the downtown DC BID area. At one point, prior to the closure of the McPherson Square Park encampment, we actually recorded 76 tents on site at that park. That actually marked the highest concentration of tents that we've ever seen in an urban park within downtown since the BID has been recording those numbers. We've continued to play a supportive role in how we help transition people from homelessness to housing and connect them to basic and essential services. Our Downtown Day Services Center celebrated its 3rd year of operation, serving more than 12,500 people by year's end, serving more than 58,000 meals throughout the year. And since its inception, more than 300 people have been directly connected to housing. Now, I want to take a moment to also acknowledge that we were able to expand those services, including Saturday services, an expanded street outreach team, as well as recognizing the need to create more space for discourse and dialogue amongst our stakeholders, more community convening conversations, and more opportunities to not just talk about the challenges at our doors, but talking about the challenges facing the city as a whole and how the BID can play a more active part in that. We've been successful in some of these great accomplishments with the support of our Downtown DC Foundation, which consistently works to uplift and support our neighbors experiencing homelessness, while also raising funds for Franklin Park and for events. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge a few folks from our foundation. I'm looking in the back, our Executive Director of the Downtown DC Foundation, Rachel Rose Hartman. Could we give her a round of applause? Rachel, I want to thank you for your tireless work helping us to secure sponsorships and funding that has truly moved the needle. And I also want to acknowledge our Foundation Board Chair, Gigi Murphy, who's standing right next to you. Can we give a round of applause to Gigi Murphy? Again, these folks are working hard to bring in private resource support that helps us to enhance all the great things that we know need to happen to elevate downtown DC. And I'm going to go off script a little bit here, too. I talked about all the great accomplishments in homeless services, and I know many of you around the room have engaged with our homeless services team. Is Deborah Bird in the room right now? Deborah, I didn't see you. Oh, no. Tell her come in here. We need to see Deborah. But I wanted to acknowledge the hard work of Deborah Bird, who serves as our Director of Homeless Services. There she is. Give a round of applause to Deborah Bird. Deborah, I want to thank you so much for all the efforts that you have been putting in. I want to thank those of you who've been supporting that work at the Downtown DC BID. Eloise Johnson, who daily has been leading encampment support cleanup efforts. Where's Miss Eloise Johnson? Thank you, Miss Johnson, for all your hard work. Excellent. Thank you all. We have a lot more to do, and we'll continue to double down on those efforts. I want to move forward and talk a little bit about some of our planning and economic development work. And I would acknowledge a staff member who would have been here, our new Vice President for Planning and Economic Development, Ella Faulkner. Unfortunately, she had another obligation that she said sort of took precedence. You might be wondering what it was. Nothing major. She was just invited by Vice President Kamala Harris for private dinner to discuss some strategy. So, you know, she can have that one today, but next time she'll be here at next year's annual meeting. But very, very grateful for the work of our new Vice President for Planning and Economic Development, Ella Faulkner. Throughout 2022, our team worked hard to continue collecting pertinent economic development data, making sure that it's sent to you and shared with our stakeholders in a timely and consistent fashion, while also supporting some of the direct needs of our businesses. Now, one of the few things I will say about the pandemic that was a benefit to the city, it did force some innovation. How many of you like to eat outside in the many streeteries that are throughout the district these days? I love a good streetery. And we in our Economic Development Department in 2022 provided $30,000 in streetery assistance grants to help create some of the dynamic dining experiences throughout downtown, including, and I'll give a shout out to the Immigrant Foods right here in the ground floor level of the Planet Word Museum. We were actually able to open a streetery using that grant money. And I will warn you, it is so busy at lunchtime. If you do not book your reservation in advance, do not expect to eat outside at lunch at Immigrant Foods. But we are so excited about that work. And then also really excited about just the beauty that came about with Franklin Park this year. Many of you know Franklin Park was years, almost decade plus in the making of conversations, of detailed planning and thought about what that space would and could be for downtown. It really came alive in 2022 with more than 12,000 monthly visitors, 200 plus community events of all sizes and scope that have helped to activate and enliven downtown in so many ways. Additionally, our planning team developed and released the Parks Master Plan, which looks at the success of Franklin Park and says, how do we now carry that success into our other network of urban parks, plazas, and green spaces throughout downtown? Additionally, we looked at one of our key neighborhoods in downtown, the Gallery Place Chinatown corridor, which, as many of you know, it's seen some challenges in recent years. We're looking to try to revitalize that space and dream big about it, and we were able to do our Gallery Place Chinatown study that allowed us to look into the types of improvements that will take it to a new century in terms of how it impacts and benefits the district. And finally, we use those two documents as a key piece to help push forward with the downtown action planning work that's currently underway. Many of you around the room have been a part of that. If you're not a part of it, we'll talk about how you become a part of it, but we're so excited about the ability to move forward with our downtown action plan. I want to touch on a little bit, too, about the events that we have done this year. And I'll take a moment here just to mention, as you can see on the screen, we do many, many events throughout downtown DC. And we knew right away, coming out of the pandemic, events are a key piece of bringing more people into downtown and generating positive tax revenue. We knew it was so important that actually with the board's approval and direction, we actually created a new position in the Downtown DC BID as a director of events. And I want to acknowledge our new director of events. Melanie Nosu, are you in the room? I know I saw you here. Well, guys, don't embarrass me. Where is our team? Melanie, are you in the room? There she is, Melanie. Thank you so much. Melanie, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for making this event so special. I'm looking around at the decor and I'm blown away. This is more fancy than my wedding. Don't tell my wife I said that. But Melanie, thank you so much for all of your work and support. Your leadership has helped to make thousands of people engage in DC events, and it's helped to enhance the vibrancy in ways that we could have only dreamed of. Thank you. I want to move on from there and just talk a little bit about another major development that happened in 2022. So some of you know that bids are required every 5 years to submit a renewal plan in order to continue operating for the next 5 years. And so in 2022, we had to submit a plan in order to operate through 2027. And one of the things required in that renewal plan is to identify our big moves, our big strategy points. And we worked closely through a series of deep engagements with many stakeholders throughout the Downtown DC BID, our board members, our foundation board members, BID staff of all levels, and we completed our renewal plan. And I want to touch on what those 5 big moves were that we identified in the plan. Big move number 1. We said we would drive the rebirth of downtown DC as a premier regional destination. And we do that by telling a refreshed narrative with creative marketing campaigns that attract residents, workers, visitors, and investment. Many things are coming around a new rebranding, around some new creative marketing and ways that we can enliven the story of what downtown is and what it can be. Big move number 2, we said we will lead a downtown action agenda to create a bold 5-year implementation plan for key investments and initiatives in downtown DC. And I'm elated to say that we kicked off our downtown action plan just last week on June 15th. So excited about that. Big move 3, and I've talked about this a little already, we have to elevate Gallery Place as a cultural and entertainment center of the region. It once had that reputation and lived up to that. We want to make sure it can for years to come. Big move number 4, we want to catalyze new investments in dynamic urban parks in the public realm, leveraging the work and success of Franklin Park and beyond. And big move number 5, we want to continue to play a more direct leadership role in moving unsheltered people into safe and dignified housing. And with such big, bold moves ahead, we recognize the need that we had to do some internal work. We had to make sure that as an organization, we were prepared to take on these mammoth tasks. Couple things we did to support that. 1, we hired the Northrop Group to do a full audit of all of our internal policies, procedures, and controls, the result of which led to the development of a recommended action plan that we're currently using to help shore up our fiscal controls, our internal processes, modernize our bylaws, and establish clear lines of accountability that will help us to operate more effectively and more efficiently. Additionally, we recognize the need to take a moment to reassess our fundamental understanding of who we are as an organization. What is our mission? What are our values? What are our priorities? How will we accomplish the things that we've set out to do? And even more importantly, what is our intended impact? What do we want to see happen, and do we want to see achieved for downtown? Now, I believe that much of that impact and what we want to see is communicated through our future. It's what we want to see throughout downtown and throughout our core. We hired an amazing consultant group in BDS Consulting that helped us to put this together, leveraging all input across every level of staff, and I'm excited to share our intended impact statement. And bear with me for a second as it comes up on the screen. Our new intended impact statement is that downtown DC is a leading destination with undeniable energy. It's a dynamic and diverse community that is green, livable, and walkable, where everyone belongs and memories are made. It reflects and amplifies the culture, creativity, and excitement of the city, of the nation, and of the world. What do you all think about that impact? Does that sound like the downtown we want to be? That's the downtown I want to live in, I want to work in, I want to visit, and I want to encourage others to be in. And so we're looking forward to working with you to achieve that impact. And we know to make that happen, we cannot sit idly by and hope that it happens on its own. We have started, and we will continue to take action to make these things happen. No one can predict the future, but what we do know and we can predict is that this moment is an unparalleled opportunity for us to do things as we've never done them before. As I mentioned already, just last week, we kicked off the official Downtown Action Plan, an effort amongst the Downtown DC bid and the Golden Triangle bid that will also engage some of our other bids. I see Joe Sternlieb from Georgetown, and I saw a few other folks from other bids around the city. Looking forward to working with you all in this work. The mayor, the deputy mayor for planning and economic development, and really looking at a way to gather public input and tapping into the minds of leaders from around the city and from people who are passionate about the reimagination of downtown DC. We had a successful press launch and then a successful public meeting. We were joined by 300 people in a room at the Conrad Hotel and 1,400 people who watched us online because they cared that much about the future of this downtown. And just yesterday, we had our first meeting of our steering committee. We're thinking about what downtown can be in the years to come, and we invite you to play a part. You can visit reimaginedowntowndc.com right now and use the interactive tool to provide your feedback about the vision that you have for the downtown of the future. All ideas are welcomed and will be considered as we go about this process. So please don't hesitate to offer your support. Now, last thing that I'll say, the mayor's support in this process has been invaluable. She has too been a staunch supporter of all things downtown and has made it a key part of her priorities in her third term of her administration. Now, unfortunately, she had a pressing emergency tonight, was unable to join us, but she did shoot a video message for us this afternoon that I would love to share with you at this time. So without further ado, I introduce a video from Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Good evening, Downtown DC BID. Thank you for your commitment to revitalizing and reimagining our downtown. We know that downtown is the economic engine of our city. Investments in downtown are investments in all 8 wards. Our 5-year economic development strategy, better known as the DC Comeback Plan, is at the center of this work. And with your support, our Downtown Action Plan will provide a roadmap for the transformation of downtown DC. It is your ideas, investments, and actions that will help guide our priorities. So I'm going to ask all of you the question I'm asking everyone these days. What's your role in DC's comeback? I know that you have big ideas and the ability to bring those ideas to life, and together we will. So on behalf of all Washingtonians, thank you and have a great evening.
I want to thank Mayor Bowser. I know she couldn't be here in attendance, but I see a number of members from her team, including Grace Reeder, who's our Ward 2 representative for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations, and many others. Thank you all for your continued support. And as you heard the Mayor say, the challenge is on us. We have a role to play in the DC's comeback where we have to think big, think bold, and think different. And I think it's really important that as we think about just what types of things can inspire us, one of the things that we're doing here at the Downtown DC BID is taking a look at where we have areas and potential for opportunity. And so we've started with the first step of looking at some of our neighborhoods, one of which is Gallery Place. We said that that's one where we want to really focus on elevating it and thinking about its future. And we have a short video we want to share just to show you a little bit about what we're thinking and how we're beginning to imagine what could be possible for downtown in Gallery Place. Please turn to the video here.
Exciting things are happening in downtown DC. Over the past 30 years, the Gallery Place Chinatown corridor has become the cultural and entertainment heart of the district, energizing the city's growth. And for residents and visitors from around the world, it has been an amazing example of how Washington, D.C. is not just a place of government, but a robust, thriving community. It is also a place that is going through an evolution. In the late 1700s, the 7th Street corridor connected Maryland farmland with the Center Market, which developed into a vibrant mix of residential and commercial uses. And by 1931, it had become DC's Chinatown. Eventually, the opening of the then MCI Center, now Capital One Arena, multiple theaters, and Smithsonian museums solidified its reputation as the cultural hub of downtown. But decades have passed since major investments in the Gallery Place Chinatown corridor have been made. At this critical moment in time, we face an unparalleled opportunity to invest and develop this area and help improve quality of life in the city. Welcome to the next evolution of the Gallery Place Chinatown corridor. Features such as expanded pedestrian space, outdoor dining, convenient transportation, new residential development, and safe, welcoming activities will ensure that the corridor will continue to drive both residents and visitors downtown in droves into the decades ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's just a small taste of some of what's possible when we dream big and think differently about our public realm and public spaces. Many of those renderings came directly from the work that was done through that Chinatown Gallery Place study and will help inform some of the recommendations and strategies as part of the Downtown Action Plan. I also want to thank our friends at ODA Architecture for their support with some of the graphics and visualizations that you saw in that video. And with that being said, if you're wondering what that big thinking looks like and what it can mean and be for downtown DC, I think it's really important that we hear from people who are visionaries, people who are passionate, people who have big, bold ideas. Having established ODA Architects in 2007, Eran Chen has earned a reputation for mold-breaking designs focused on delivering a better urban future. He's completed more than 50 buildings in just over a decade and is considered one of the most prolific architects in New York. We're proud to have him join us today as he shares a bit of his vision, his thinking, and his thoughts about how to elevate downtowns now and for years to come. I want to introduce and invite to the stage our keynote speaker, founder of ODA Architects, Eran Chen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage founder and executive director of ODA Architecture, Eran Chen.
Wow. Gerren, I must say, good evening, everyone. I must say I'm here to inspire, and I got inspired. I mean, the force, Gerren is a force of nature, and what an inspiration. To us, all of us who are trying to help downtown, you bring energy and optimism, so thank you for that. Let's hear it for Gavin. I'm an architect, and I'm going to be realistic and optimistic, and I want to say throughout history, every dramatic shift in urban renewal started with a vision, a path, a clear illustration of the future. And it's done simply because without a vision, in the most challenging of situations, all everybody sees are the obstacles. Henry Ford famously said that obstacles are those frightening things that you look at when you take your eyes off the goal. And Simon Sinek, if you know him, said about professional skiers that if they look at the trees, they bump into a tree. If they concentrate on the path, the trees becomes irrelevant. Now, Mayor Bowser gave us a goal with the downtown action plan. Now the question is, how do we create a vision? And I want to play a pretend game for a second. Let's pretend all of us here today are aliens from a distant planet. Can you do that? Don't take it seriously. We were sent by an advanced civilization light years away, landing here, right here in downtown BID. All of us are chosen carefully as a group of experts capable of urban renewal to prepare the grounds for the entire community, our community, to land here and to establish our life here for the next few decades. Now, among us are policymakers, builders, developers, planners and architects, business owners, cultural leaders, and educators. Now, let's imagine that when we land, don't take it personally, we found a clear deserted area left by an ancient civilizations that used this area mostly for what they call office district. Now, we found millions of square foot of empty buildings, many quite old, large, and the city blocks are wide with a lot of lane for traffic and very little nature. Now, our mission is to adapt quickly and efficiently to meet our community needs. Now, let me remind you, we are pragmatists and we are environmentally conscious, and so we can't just demolish everything and start from scratch. You agree with me, right? How do we start? What do we do? Now, I would imagine that the very first step that we're going to do is write a list of what the needs of our society are. First, ample housing solutions for different type of our community. Second, what we call a 15-minute city, where we can live, work, play within a walking distance. We want community facilities around education, health, and wellness, culture and art everywhere. We want hospitality for our guests, playgrounds for our kids, and markets for our food. All supported by renewable energy and carbon zero emission. In short, everything we stand for is a developed civilizations we are. Now, naturally, many of us are going to look at the obstacles, pointing out to the difficulties. But if we would like to achieve a change, we must first look at the path and see the path we should take, the best architects and planners, the best collaborations that we can find, and developing an ideal plan. Putting aside the obstacles for a second, what would be the best scenario we can look for in our imagination? Can anybody here describe it? Once we have a vision, now we can address the obstacles. Now I want to tell you, 99% of the times, the obstacles are seemingly different two things, but actually entangled together. One, resources, fund, money, who's paying for all of this? And the second one is what? Regulation, politics, and building consensus around priorities. Right? Now, fortunately, we have investors and developers amongst us, Mr. Chairman. It's their job to find the funds once a plan is in place that is worth investing in. And as urban renewal experts, we collectively can provide a vision to a plan while addressing their business concerns. Next are the regulators. We all know that politics is tough, and without a clear, compelling vision, regulators do not like radical change. It's just a fact. But with compelling vision plan, we can make strong arguments for the needs of the adjustments. You know, we can get political traction and public support. An inspiring vision provides a reason to break boundaries and create a consensus for radical ideas. Now, I want to share with you a few examples. I don't know if you can, oh, there we go. Now, there's really three categories that we can use to enforce change. One, city-owned infrastructure and resources. Two, privately owned distressed properties. And we're going to have a few of those. And three, underutilized existing public realm. Okay, let's look at a few things that we recognize and maybe a few ideas. Okay, city-owned infrastructure. Okay, we all know this story, the story of the High Line. Do you see the image? Oh, now we see. Okay, there's a delay on my part. The challenge with the High Line was not only the underutilized infrastructure, but also it was the negative impact of property values around it, safety and crime issues, and undesirable places around the street experiences. And for years, there was no solution until a vision was proposed by a design competition that united everyone around, drew both private and public funds, and as you know, ended up with a huge urban and financial win. And I have a delay, and I don't know what you see. Good. The next example that I want to show is smaller, but I think very telling. So let's look at this. In Buenos Aires, Argentina, a city-owned parking garage at the heart of Palermo Park became an issue. It was empty for years. It was in the center of crime and homelessness and drugs. Do you see it? Okay. There we go. Right. So there was lack of public funds, very limited state zoning regulation with a maximum height. You cannot exceed the height of this parking garage, and no potential use. There was really a desire for a vision, a strong vision here. And we came up with a design suggesting keeping 85% of the structure intact while cutting the building in a strategic location to create ample light for Class A office building. And it's still not moving. There we go. So then we created a pedestrian ramp that will allow the public to get up the building to the roof and reconnect back to the park on the other side, giving the public a one-of-a-kind viewpoint of the city. In our proposal, we suggested to move the parts that were cut from the building to the top of the structure at the end, which exceeds the height of the limitation by the states. Now, without this vision idea, exceeding the height would never be approved because the structure was just not attractive for anything. But once the idea was presented, it was received as a huge potential political win. And the state and city restrictions were lifted, and the financial proposition became very attractive to developers. Developers actually competed for this project who nobody wanted to touch before. The city leased it for 50 years, and very soon the building will be completed. Now he went fast. Just at the wow point. Let me bring it back for a second. The building will be completed soon, and it really is one of the talk of town, because you take something that was totally negative and it will become a center of activity. Now let's look at another example that talks about the privately owned distressed property, and I'm specifically choosing places and projects from outside of the United States. So in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands, 15 years ago, the city sold the post office building, which is a national monument, to a private investor who planned to convert it into a shopping mall while preserving the historical qualities. Very quickly thereafter, it became obvious that the plan cannot make any financial sense. Now, years later, after a long battle of litigation, the building was on the verge of bankruptcy, while a very important building at the center of the city was dormant. With this gridlock, the city reached out to international architects to come up with a vision plan. Now, we thought of an unparalleled opportunity to connect two disjointed neighborhoods by transforming the structure from a fortress-like obstacle to an urban connector. We proposed to connect the historical Great Hall, which is in the building itself, to a newly created atrium, two kind of public rooms that would be open 24/7, surrounded by restaurants, hotels, event spaces, and housing. Now, to achieve this vision, we claimed we need to build a tower on top of the historical building. Increasing density will secure the activity at the ground floor, will bring more people to live downtown, and make a financial sense, which would allow us to really invest in the public realm. Now, the idea seems totally unacceptable in the beginning by the City State Preservation Department. Can you imagine a tower on the most important landmark building? However, once the vision was presented, it sparked a huge public debate, and after 2 years, we were able to get this plan approved with a wide consensus. A historical monument was saved, and a new chapter began for City Center in Rotterdam. A building is now under construction and will be delivered in 2025. So vision matters. Now, I like to end with the topic of underutilized public realm, because that's one of the things we're going to work on a lot, I believe, in the next few months. We were hired by a developer in Chicago to look at an area north on Fulton Market. Now, this particular neighborhood is disconnected by a series of highways and elevated train tracks, and our challenge was to convince city planning to increase density for the developer while creating a strong sense of place that will give the area vitality and spark an economical development. As always, we started from the public realm. What could bring people to the area, and why would anybody want to live here? Now, just like DC, Chicago has an historical network of series of service alleyways. So what we did is we identified areas around those alleyways that would become pockets of human interaction, a walkable experience between green plazas. In a surgical and careful kind of intervention, we defined ground floor activators around those plazas that accommodates a variety of uses. For example, an urban market supported by hotel, bars, and restaurant. Urban plazas supported by residential amenities, restaurants, and community facilities. Outdoor amphitheater supported by multi-function art center, and lots of indoor-outdoor dining opportunities. And there's, of course, dedicated area for public art. Now, together, we're hoping to create a human-scale, pedestrian-driven place of experiences, supported by 4 vertical buildings for housing, office, and hotel, which will enhance density at the ground floor. The plan was approved by the Chicago Department of City Planning and the City Council a few months ago, and hopefully will become another success story for Chicago. Now, a few weeks ago, I I presented at the DC Economic Forum a vision that I called DC Greenways. I'm not going to repeat that vision, but it's an idea that I think only scratches the surface of what is possible in downtown DC. It was meant just to start a conversation. If we're only willing to take a leap of faith and build a vivid, clear vision of a mixed-use neighborhood, we can actually transform downtown DC to one of the most celebrated, exciting city and neighborhoods in the country. And I'm 100% sure of that. It has the best location, it has the best infrastructure and bones, it has the best beach chair, and I'm sure that we can do it. But it would take a village, and I'm here basically to offer our partnership to all of you guys in trying to come up with a clear and decisive plan and vision so we can celebrate the future of downtown DC and bring the investors from around the world to invest in it. Thank you, guys.
The votes are in, and it's time for the results. Please welcome back to the stage Chairman of the Downtown DC BID Board of Directors, Michael McCarthy.
Again, I'd like to thank all of you for your attendance this evening. It's a real show of everybody's commitment to the city. And with this sort of support, we can make visions reality. I'd like to thank Councilwoman Brooke Pinto, as always. You're always there for us fighting the good fight, and we really do appreciate your effort, and we know it's not always easy. With that, I'll turn the mic over to Gerren for the closing remarks.
Thank you. Thank you all again. This has been an exhilarating meeting. We appreciate you all for being here. I have some good news to announce. As you heard the intro say, the results of the vote are in. So as you know, the public vote has closed. I am pleased to officially welcome to the Downtown DC BID Board of Directors our brand new board members. I want to thank those of you who were officially approved to be a part of the Downtown DC BID Board. Could you please stand while we all give you a huge round of applause? And I believe we have a slide to show our new board members. Let's just give a huge welcome and thank you. We want to thank you all so much. I'm not sure if the slide showed up or not, but I do want to acknowledge this year we have brought on 10 dynamic new board members. This represents the most diverse group of board members we've ever brought on to join the Downtown DC BID Board. And I know I speak on behalf of Michael and the entire BID Board. I say we are incredibly excited and exhilarated by that. Good news, though the official program is over, this event is still going. Please mix, mingle, network. The bar will remain open. We have some great food available. Please enjoy this beautiful space. And thank you all so much again for being here together with us and for celebrating the unparalleled opportunity that awaits here in downtown DC. Thank you and good evening.
Well done.